there, I'm Sarah Bailey, and I am here with my assistant for the day, Wills, and he's home from school with a cough, so I'm sure y'all have had lots of that, lots of flu and strep and cough and germs, and then lots and lots of threat of bad weather. So the past couple weeks have been kind of crazy, and I've definitely experienced that, and I'm certain that lots of you have too. So it got me started thinking about what I'm going to talk about today on this video, and that is four-letter words. And no, I'm not going to talk about bad words in front of my wonderful assistant. But what I am going to talk about is another kind of four-letter word. And those four-letter words get in our head and cause us to lose productivity and opportunities. So Will's is going to show you his illustration, and then he's going to go read his book. What book are you reading?
The Snow Day.
The Snow Day. Show him the cover. Is that a good book?
Yes, I've not read it yet.
Okay, he hasn't read it yet, so he'll let us know. But he's going to go snuggle up and read that in another chair while I finish this video. Nope, he's going to stay with me. Okay, that works too. Anyway, so talking about four-letter words, and the four-letter words I'm talking about are things like can't and, excuse me, got a tickle, can't and have to and need and won't, and all those sort of words that limit us and what we end up thinking we can or cannot do. So especially over times like this, this week started out with Martin Luther King Day, and we celebrated that on Monday with a school day off. And then after that, we had 2 days where there was potential for bad weather. So kids were home from school. There was a little bit of snow, but not anything that they expected like it had before. But then I started hearing friends and seeing on Facebook a lot of people saying things like, oh my gosh, I've lost a week of my life. I can't get back to a schedule. They're never going back to school. And I can relate to that for sure because, you know, my work is, I do have an office, but a lot of the time I work out of my home office. And so when kids are home and excitement is high, and it's either sickness that keeps them grouchy and in bed, or excitement of snow and that sort of thing that keeps them running around crazy, it's hard to get to a point where you can be productive and get your work done during those times. Good stuff, good stuff. Thanks, Wills. So what happens is people think, oh, I've just lost a week of my life, or I really need to get things done, but I can't. And all those four-letter words are the ones that I'm talking about. And here's what happens. Bless you. So what happens is we think, oh, I can't get this done because the kids are home. So in our head, our thoughts turn into feelings, and then we feel frustrated, or we feel anxious about deadlines, or we feel like defeated, or things like that. And so that influences our actions. So thoughts turn into feelings, which turn into actions. And so just that thought, I can't get this done, or I've lost a week of my life, turns into a very different scenario than if we thought about things in a different way. So think about the idea of I've lost a week of my life, okay, or I've lost a week of productivity, or that sort of thing. Well, what the reality of the situation is, the time was actually there. We did have that week, or you know, a few days, or whatever the time period is. It's just spent in a different way, like that, snuggling with your friend and your dog. Thank you. Good illustration. It's just spent in a different way than we had planned. And so when we have obligations and we have deadlines and we have things like that, it's difficult to get things done. I'll be quiet in a minute. It's difficult to get things done because of little friends, and that is understandable. So when you think about it, oh, I've lost a week of my life, there's negativity and there's frustration, and then it narrows your focus and opportunities to actually get something done in the meantime. So what I would suggest is to change the way that you think about things, and think about it in the terms of, you may have lost some productivity, but what you gained was snuggling time with your family, or time you needed to rest. You know, the holidays are stressful and busy and they're crazy. And so we end up going from one thing to the next. And so maybe this was a great natural break and you got to maybe sleep in a little bit or relax or, you know, try to get your house back in order after the holidays or whatever it is. So finding those bright spots and the things that actually were beneficial from the break, it really makes a big difference. Yes.
And do your laundry.
And do your laundry. Yes, that is true. So what he's talking about is when kids are home, and I have 4, so when they're home for an extended period of time, it seems like our house gets into a bit of chaos. And so what I've started doing in that situation is instead of picking up frantically and getting frustrated and grouchy at them, instead of taking that that tone and that way of dealing with it, I think, you know what, we're going to work together. And so they're old enough that they can work an iPad, they can work a vacuum, they can load a dishwasher, they can sort their clothes for the laundry, they can do all kinds of things, can't you? Yes. And it makes it very much more pleasurable, and they are helpful, and then the house isn't as crazy. And so you can do little things like that to actually work through a stressful situation.
You said this video was gonna be 5 minutes, but it's 6.
It is. It may be a few more too. You're a very smart guy. Okay, so as my lovely assistant here, my wonderful assistant pointed out, we're getting to the end, and I just wanted to remind you that those 4-letter words, those limiting words, really do make a big difference in our lives, and they can really affect how our day goes, how our week goes, how we think about things, and limiting opportunities and limiting abilities and things like that. So just being more conscious about how the way you think, the things that you think, and how that translates into feelings and behaviors and moods. I mean, totally translates into moods. And, you know, you start your day off grouchy and frustrated because you didn't get anything done the next day. Well, that's going to limit your productivity today. So just being aware of that and making those small shifts that I think are so important. We're not changing your life with a magic wand. We're not doing something so giant. It's sustainable, and it's easy to do when you have, number one, the awareness, and start thinking about the words that you're choosing and choosing them instead of just shouting them out or thinking them. And then making conscious choices based on that. So one of the things that I, and this happens to me too. I mean, last week I had my little guy, John Collins, out for a whole week. So I felt like, gosh, this is 2 weeks that I have, not been on the same schedule, and being, my list changes, and how am I going to manage with clients and meetings and calls and that sort of thing, and sick kids. And so being able to come at it with a different perspective makes a huge difference. And in the meantime, I get moments like this where I get to snuggle with my guy in our fuzzy socks and our warm, cozy blanket, and we get to wear comfy clothes and just relax. And, spending that 10 minutes that they ask you to read to them gives you even more time in the long run than saying, in a minute, I'll do it in a minute, because they're going to keep asking you, and what could take 10 to 30 minutes, and then you can have time for yourself. Really, it can make such a difference. So what I do is I plan it, I schedule it. I say, okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to read a book, and then I'm going to do some work, and you can watch a show, and then we'll do something else, we'll get some lunch, and then I'll get back to work. So we figure out a compromise so that it isn't a total day lost, and it certainly wouldn't be lost because I got to spend it with you. But it's easy to figure out little ways like that, small shifts that make such a big difference. And in the end, you have a great day with a great buddy, and you get some stuff done too. So think about those 4-letter words. Think about those things and how we think about things. And he wants to read for a short sentence.
Dad came out to shovel in the driveway. He left off big chunks of snow, piled them to the side.
Awesome. And that is what Dad did from the snow day on their snow day. What did you do on yours? I hope y'all have a great day. I'm glad you got to meet my assistant for the day. If you have any thoughts on these things that I've talked about or your 4-letter words, let me know. Let me know and hear what you have.